right, my people. End of 2024 is officially here, and I have some fragrance predictions. Now, when I was once in corporate America, I used to be in a space of revenue forecasting, predicting the future, allegedly based on trends and how the market was running. So although I'm kind of tapped in yet tapped out of the fragrance space, I have some thoughts and opinions on where the fragrance space is going to be shifting in 2025, and some changes I feel are already coming on the horizon, including some changes even on the big designer corporate side. So without further ado, Uncle Cuba, aka Miss Cleo, is gonna give you a few of his forecasting predictions in the fragrance space for 2025. So stay tuned, cause it's gonna be a doozy. Listen, one of my beautiful peoples, you know who it is. It's your boy, 𝐷𝐸𝗏. 2024 was a very fun, enthusiastic, and kind of redundant year in the fragrance space, at least in my opinion. So what I'm trying to say by that is, you know, as a person who taps into the designer space, the clone space, the niche space, the indie niche space, I like to see what trends tend to happen and what things were flowing. So one of the things that I found particularly in the clone space is that a lot of the Middle Eastern clone brands were coming out with a vengeance. And these are brands that have big, deep, heavy pockets, but there was a lot of translation in the same scent profiles being made by all these different companies and repetition between that. And to keep it a stack, I've even had conversations with these company heads and like, yo, y'all motherfuckers is doing this shit consistently or whatever. And I know that maybe part of it is trying to find the best formulation of this clone or this interpretation, but doing it 16 times in the same collection makes zero sense, because guess what? Charlie and Willie are gonna do the same shit too, and you're just gonna flood the market. There's so much possibility to save people a ton of money in this affordable space without having that level of redundancy. So I think for 2025, brands are really gonna start listening to the consumer and try to focus not so much on the hypest of niches, but maybe resurrecting some old school shit that was uber popular and is now very difficult to find. And if you do find that, there's a markup. So I think for 2025, the clone brands are gonna start digging in archives of older fragrances in either the niche or designer space and start resurrecting them, hopefully getting them halfway close to one-to-one and offering them to an affordable demographic. Because guess what? The economy is taking a real fat, heavy, stinking shit, and we're all gonna suffer, but we still wanna play the game in the fragrance space. So that might be a viable option. So for 2025, I'm hopeful that the clone brands are gonna start tapping into archive fragrances, whether it be a Midnight in Paris by Van Cleef, or maybe bringing back a Dolce & Gabbana by, you know, something in those archivable digging in the crate fragrances to give them a little bit of life back. And speaking of the Middle Eastern clone brands, I think a lot of influencers are gonna start going on the collaborative end towards that route. It just seems kind of the smarter type move, because maybe the big niche brands don't want to rock with the influencers like that as far as collaborative efforts. And it allows you to maybe be a little bit more creative while having your own fragrance and making it affordable for the audience, which in turn is a win-win-win for everybody across the board. Honestly speaking, there's a lot of high-end perfumers doing a lot of stuff for the Middle Eastern clone brands. Because why? Because they got the bread, they're still making fragrance, they're just not doing a heavy-ass markup. Maybe it's not the most natural, or maybe they're using way more synthetics, or whatever the case may be. At the end of the day, it's still a way more budget option. And I think a lot more influencers that build relationship with these brands might be leaning towards that demographic in order to make some of their dreams come true, if their dream was to establish a fragrance brand. Now, is Uncle Cuba going that route and that's why he's mentioning it? No, I have no plans of anything when it comes to a fragrance at this point. I've been offered several opportunities and have turned them all down. Why? Maybe it's fear, or maybe it's self-confidence as far as the fragrances that I started to develop and I didn't feel that they were there. I'm not out here just for a money grab. Obviously, I'm here to make money. Let's be fucking clear. I can't pay a mortgage with perfume. But if I want to put my name on it, it gotta be something that I absolutely love and that just gets me fucking rock.
Shut up, bitch!
And I haven't found that yet. So maybe one day I will with whoever that may be and all the business is correct and I feel that everybody's gonna get their piece of the pie and the consumer's not gonna go broke buying my fragrance, then maybe I'll do that. But I think for 2025, I think there's gonna be more collaborative efforts on the affordable route between influencers and fragrance brands that work on inspired expressions. Now, I think for 2025, with the designer space, a lot of people are gonna be following suit of what Tom Ford is trying to do. So recently there was a Vogue business article indicating that Tom Ford is trying to stray away from the sexualized image. Tom Ford is known for his risque advertisement. I mean, he's got dudes baby oiled on bus stops like an after party at Diddy's. He's got billboards with shorties hymens just chilling with a happy face. So allegedly for the 2025 campaign, particularly for the fragrance 𝗙𝗂𝗕𝘂𝗀𝗂𝗀, or Pacifique, they're trying to stray away from what they did with something like Vanilla Sex, fucking Fabulous, and any other sexual innuendo, and they're trying to go the kind of like boho hipster kind of vibe with their idea of like the elements and earth and landmarks and shit like that. Apparently 𝗙𝗂𝗕𝘂𝗀𝗂𝗀 is going to have like essences of Big Sur and shit. Like, what the fuck are we doing? At one point, Tom Ford, known for being like super duper out there when it comes to marketing and being ballsy and risky and shit like that, are we shifting that sex doesn't sell? Bitch, that shit's been said. Have you seen OnlyFans creators and what they're making? Tell me that sex doesn't sell. Some chick just showing bush and tits made 43 mil. Baseball players are tearing ACLs, dislocating shoulders, and she's bouncing up her tits up and down, not even getting penetrated, making 43 million. Why does Cuba know she's not getting penetrated? I didn't subscribe, but for research purposes, it may have. So the question is, are other designer brands gonna be following suit? Are they gonna be like, yo, you know what, Coobs? I think we're gonna follow Tom Ford, the lord of fuckery when it comes to marketing, fantastically naughty and kinky and sexy and lubed up, and we're gonna start going the nature route. Oh, I wanna smell like Mother Earth. I wanna smell like greenery. I want to encompass, you know what I'm saying? They're gonna try to tap into something like, ooh, like a house of matriarch, you know what I'm saying? With this fragrance, bonsai. This shit is as fucking green as it gets. There is no mass appeal in this fragrance. What there is artistry, right? You just gotta appreciate the fact that this is the most photorealistic, green, earthy, jungle-ish smelling shit. I feel Amazonian, like I'm putting on a full like leaf bralette or covering my pepperoni nips. This is as fucking green as it comes. Incredible scent. No mass appeal, no sexy vibes. This is more like what they're trying to indicate. They're trying to go after like rock formations and earth and mountains and the surf wave and all this other shit. So if you're gonna try to play with something like this, you better fucking put your money where your mouth is. And you got the money, 𝗙𝐸. So are designer brands going to be straying away from that sexualized concept? Is Jean Paul Gaultier no longer gonna have a bulge? Are we not gonna see his tight little ass anymore? And you know, people are gonna be upset about that. I don't know, I'm curious. We'll see though. Now, what that does do is offer indie niche brands to get creative. You have an opportunity right now in 2025 to really establish your fucking brand and try to knock the big corporate heads off of it. Granted, you don't got the money to play with them, understood. But you got creativity, you got hunger, and hunger propels, hunger motivates, hunger fires creativity. And with the right ideas put together, you can really establish some beautiful scents. And there's been some really fun indie niche fragrances that I have discovered this year and make me hopeful for 2025 and what some of these niche indie brands will be able to do. Obviously, they're gonna be focusing on more condensed collections based on budget and whatever they're able to afford. However, I think that's a great idea. I think you can condense and make a couple of hits, not necessarily have to make a 21-track St. Jay-Z's Black album, you know what I'm saying? But if you can make a couple of hits and establish yourself, I mean, granted, there's brands like Copper Still 51. That shit is an incredible fucking booze fragrance. Like, they're getting fun with presentation. The boozy essences in here are damn near photorealistic. This motherfucker's picking up mash and shit from the barrels because he lives in the town, so he's really encompassing shit for alcoholics like myself to really enjoy a boozy fragrance without compromising a ton of shit, which is great. Like, this is a very fun, creative outlook to do. And then you got brands like 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏 doing fragrances like Flang. This shit is a confectionery, delicious, caramelic, gourmand fragrance. Incredible scent profile, ultra sexy, very gourmand forward, and it smells exactly like what you're expecting with a little bit of a coconut flake. Delicious. A Puerto Rican brand based out of Philly trying to do its damn thing when it comes to the indie niche space. And it's shit like that that I think is going to motivate motherfuckers to start their own shit, start learning mixing aroma chemicals, synthetics, all naturals, whatever the fuck you want to do. Motherfuckers might be taking the time to just be like, drip dropping everywhere, doing their blends and shit at home, and concocting their own fragrances while getting stock bottles, and be able to produce some fun shit for fragrance fans like us while being able to establish themselves as small business owners, which to some people is the dream, to be able to combine your hobby, your passion, with being a small business owner, self-employed, the American dream for some. So I think for 2025, we're gonna start seeing a nice mini surge of indie niche brands making some real creative, fun shit. At least that's what I'm hoping for. Now, speaking of niche indie brands, another aspect that I think of niche indie brands that have already kind of a foot in the door and already established is the combination of fragrance and lifestyle. I think those two just go hand in hand. Eyewear, apparel, fragrance, footwear, accessories. I think not only do men deserve an opportunity in this space, as it's really dominated by women, especially the accessory space, but the combination of fragrance brand and accessory / lifestyle, like something like 𝗙𝗏 does. Like, he has gear, he has eyewear, he has women's stockings and leggings and shit with beautiful, sexy marketing. He's making the fragrances himself. He's a black entrepreneur who did all the shit himself, who was tapped into the music and fashion space and incorporated that into fragrance, and is now bringing his original love and passion and combining them both. Another example would be the 𝐿MNTAL brand. By the time this video comes out, I don't know if we've done a collaboration, but the 𝐿MNTAL brand at one of the events that I went to was pairing alcohol with fragrance, and alcohol blends that he was doing himself to coincide with the fragrance. Imagine people like us enjoying what we love, which is fucking booze and fragrance, and having the same brand concoct both. Granted, it might be the resurrection of moonshine in FragCom or whatever, and I'm here for it. Sign me up. But how exciting is that to take away from some levels of redundancy of just fragrance? Dope packaging. 𝗙𝗏𝗏𝗏's been doing crazy shit with their packaging and their PR kits or whatever, right? So you got indie niche brands, you got these up and coming niche houses, all this shit, the combination of fragrance plus, not just offering scents, but offering a whole fit, a whole perspective. Yo, here are these sunglasses that match the tonal sense of this fragrance that go along with this cigar. Like, what? Do you understand the opportunity that's there? Business brand owners, pay attention to Uncle Cuba. I got 2.5 screws left and I'm using them for you. I need a royalty. But that shit is exciting for us, the consumers, bro. Like, yo, this fragrance comes with this cigar and comes with this eyeglass, or they all coincide. That shit is just fun. So I hope maybe not just indie niche, but overall brands start to incorporate that shit. You know what I'm saying? I think that can be real fun for people who like accessories and mixing and matching shit. Like, who doesn't like that? Now, another bullshit forecast that I might have is the following: the switch, the vice versa, the 180-degree twist as far as niche versus designer. Hear me out. So what we're used to, at least how I register it in my brain, is that niche fragrances generally have these darker resinous components about it. And that's kind of what niche has been really doing in the last couple of years, like resinous, oody, ambery, dark, warm, spicy. That's when I think of niche, those are words. What is it? Adjectives, pronouns, verbs? I don't know. I have a 9th grade education. Bear with me here. I sold drugs. Ask me about grams and ounces. I'm kidding, that was a joke. But we've always assimilated in the designer space to freshy, bluer, aquatic-y, citric, easy mass appeal, extraordinarily wearable. Now, what if they're going to start switching their positions? Are we going to start seeing more niche or indie niche or big corporate niche doing more fresher fragrances, straying away from the dark resinous and kind of gearing themselves towards like a Mega Mars style DNA? Very potent, very strong, but leaning more towards the aquatic-y ambergris perspective, right? Are we gonna start seeing more freshy niche fragrances in 2024? And are the designers gonna start getting into the more resinous, like the Paco Rabanne Golden Ouds or the Mystery Tobaccos by Carolina Herrera? Like, are the designer brands gonna start tapping into more resinous, more warmth, more complexity in that space, while then intertwining some of that herbal, landmarky, earthy kind of component? See, that's where I kind of feel it coincides, because if Tom Ford's going to be shifting towards that tone, it would kind of make sense that designers would also be shifting out of kind of more of their aquatic-y, freshy type scent profiles and going darker, bolder, and riskier. See, they've seen the success that niche has had in that space and bringing the common man these kind of scent profiles that are warmer, richer, darker, bolder. So they're like, yo, let's tap into that. Let's double dip on this motherfucker. Let's switch the game. Because the pulse in the designer space has kind of just been dropping like the stock market lately. And when it comes to niche has just always held its place in an expensive category. When you think niche, predominantly you think of expensive, luxury, high-end, all this other shit, which is not necessarily the case, and could kind of work against them, because I'm gonna pay $300 for like a freshy fragrance when the designer space already have it. So they gotta do something ultra creative. But I think there's gonna be more lighter fragrances gonna be coming out in 2025 in the niche space, and I think the designer space is gonna be pulling out more bolder, darker, richer fragrances. At least that's my take. And finally, the influx of creators on the YouTube space. If TikTok in fact crashes out in January, are we gonna see a lot more of these younger influencers tapping over to the YouTube space, bringing their particular crowds, which they've built significant amount of crowds over there with their styles, bringing them over to the YouTube space? And are their crowds gonna stay with them or embark on different creators in the space? Not just me, I'm talking outside of me. For those who are deep in the designer space, niche space, honed into the artistry and perfumery aspect, you know, the entertainer, entertainment, doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about perspective, or, you know, there's so many options. So that might be a pro and a con. But what it won't be is boring, because you're gonna have an influx of audience starving to look for something if TikTok in fact either disappears or just changes its entire platform. Because I don't think it's technically going away. I know it's no longer going to be able to be downloaded on a new phone. So if you had it and you lost it because you got a new phone, you can't get this shit. So allegedly there's going to be like people flipping their used phones, like keeping TikTok on the phones and selling their phones with TikTok on it with a premium. Watch that hustle start to play out. I see that shit coming. I see it being an old school hustle, like, yo, I got this product, right? Boom, you can't get it no more. So what does that do? Add a premium to it. So I'm gonna sell you my phone right now when the iPhone 28 comes out, but this shit got TikTok on it. So I'm throwing on another $250 because you can't get TikTok on it. That might be a thing. I don't know if it's just my street mentality or whatever talking, but that's where I'm thinking. So how is that shift gonna happen in having that TikTok transition come over? There's some dudes that don't rock with TikTok at all. I think it's super entertaining. I'm always watching the fuckery on there. But the fact of the matter is, if they do lose TikTok, which would be insane because it produces multi-million dollars a month for a lot of people and businesses, that there's gonna be a huge influx on YouTube. Now that's going to piss a lot of people off on the artsy side that don't like the type of content that some of creators like myself make. Sorry for you. Life happens, shit evolves, shit switch. I get grumpy too. I think about the times when I was sitting on the stoop, just chilling on the block, having an Arizona iced tea, eating a 25-cent bag of chips, but bags of chips ain't 25 cents no more. Arizona iced tea still holding their position. That's why I show them respect even to this day. Bear Claws ain't 50 cents no more. Life evolves, shit changes. We gotta change with the time. We can be old, washed, and lived in that mentality, cause that shit happens to me on the regular. But the fact is, places like TikTok have fucking taken over. Like, there's short form content entertains millions upon millions upon millions. And whether I'm ready for it or not, shit is gonna change. So we either switch with times, or like me, still listen to 90s R&B and hip hop and shit and keep that in circulation, while my wife on the daily is like, yo, have you heard this song? I'm like, who the fuck is that? Bad Bunny? I'm like, really? He came out with a new song? Cool. Bitch, I was listening to As Yet, for God's sakes. How old am I? But there you have it. These are some of my asinine predictions for 2025. Feel free to let me know in the comments below what you think some of these predictions for 2025 in the fragrance space will be. I hope maybe one of these or some of these come to life, and maybe if some of these brands, creators, perfumers, businesses, etc. listen to this type of content, maybe they'll implement some of these things if they find it beneficial. At the end of the day, there's one main purpose, at least for myself, is I want y'all to be entertained, watch the content, and enjoy. Everything else is uncivilized. I love y'all mother suckers from the heart. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, and I'll see y'all bitches next time. You know who it is, biggest in the game. Have a beautiful, amazing, and happy new year. I love y'all motherfuckers, for real. True story, I love y'all. The ones who fuck with me, I fuck with you. The ones who don't fuck with me, still love you too, and I wish you the best. Smooches.
For the fly gun holder, money folder, roller, start tag when it's time to call back. For the rough, rugged, and raw way, this nigga Jay, it's a game, but he don't play. Hey, for all the chicks that got dead in the penthouse suite on top of my mom's crib. It's nonsense, you never get in. It's nonsense that you was